At the end of 2022, I set myself 4 unique challenges that I wanted to complete throughout 2023, and today will be the first video on the topic of challenge number 3. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Reese, and in today's video, I'm going to be taking you through my level 1 VBA programming assignment. First up, this is Matt. He is one of my closest and oldest friends that I have, and he has a very good understanding of how to program in Excel. He is the person who has very generously offered up his time to put together the assignments that I will be partaking in throughout this challenge across 2023 to improve my coding skills. It's probably well worth mentioning as well, for those who aren't aware, what the hell is VBA? It stands for Visual Basic for Applications, and what it is a programming language that is commonly used in Microsoft Office programs, which I don't know how much you've used Microsoft Office programs in your lifetime. It is a pretty handy skill to have because of what it's capable of doing. Where Excel is probably where it's used most, and what users are able to do with it is to automate certain tasks within their complex spreadsheets, which obviously will help them with their workload. And I myself, being someone who uses Excel on a daily basis, definitely has a vested interest in getting better and learning how to use the tips, tricks, and tools that are basically able to be used within VBA. Now, I know all too well that learning how to code or another language in general can be daunting. However, it is a challenge that I'm definitely up for, and realize that this is going to be something that I need to progress at over time. Across 2023, I plan to share my journey with you, including the obstacles and challenges that I face. I'll also be sharing tips and tricks, as well as resources that I find along the way that I think might be a little bit helpful. On top of this as well, I'll be making all of the assignments available to you, the viewer, so you can actually download them via a link and follow along if you want to. You can actually sit side by side with the spreadsheet and the tasks within and do it with me, or you can do it in your own time and then maybe come back and cross-reference what you did to what I did to see how we did things differently. I've linked the current assignment down in the description below, so feel free to download that and follow along as we go through this video. And finally, just for quick context, I am not a beginner by any means when it comes to Excel. However, I am definitely not an expert either. I'm somewhere in that middle phase where I have plenty to learn, and that's why this challenge has been sparked. So with that out of the way, let's actually do assignment 1. Let's get into it. So what you're looking at here is assignment 1. Matt has kindly given me a warm welcome and 3 tasks to complete within this first assignment. On the top left here, we have some guidance on how to make sure macros are enabled so we can actually run the code we're going to be writing. Just for your awareness, the 2 most common issues you might run into, if you're following along, will be enabling macros and adding the developer tab to the ribbon. And he has a lovely welcome meme as well, showing me just how badly VBA coding is going to fuck me in the early days. Now that I think everything is good to go, I'm going to click this little button here that he's titled Click Me. Okay, moving into task 1 now. My task objective is to write some code to add text to the highlighted cell. So step 1 is going to be to go to the developer tab and open Visual Basic. I'm going to open the window for task 1 and see what I'm working with. It looks like Matt has created everything I need for this to run smoothly. So all I need to do is add the line of code which will populate the cell B3 with text once I click on the execute button. A handy tip that I got from Matt was to use the term Excel VBA along with my question whenever using Google to find the right text of code to use, which is exactly what I did, and what Google spat out was a line of code to write into any cell. I set the location to B3, followed by .value, as it's the command I need, and then I put the text I wanted to display in the cell, which if I did it right should be
Dominic De Coco. Come here. Dominic De Coco. Bravo.
All right, task 2, let's see how this challenge needs to be progressed. So I need to write a piece of code which will allow me to copy the contents from the blue cell to the green cell. Easy, I think. Let's start by writing something in B3. I'm going to stick with the common theme here and add our 3rd character from Inglourious Bastards, being Antonio Margaretti. I'm going to open up task 2 from the Visual Basic window and we can get started. I spent a few minutes doing a Google search to find the correct way to display this, and what I found was that I should create a variable that I can use in future lines of code, and it can be stored in the Visual Basic window forever. The top line of code is going to be dim a as string, where dim stands for dimension, and it is used to declare variables. The letter A is what I'm going to be naming the value to be, and as string is the type of data that A should store, being text. Then I want to set A to equal the value of a specific cell. So the command is going to be A equals cells, then in brackets 3, 2 dot value. The 3 stands for the third row down, and the 2 stands for the second column across. And finally, the dot value is to tell Excel to pull the value of that cell. The final line of code now is going to be used to copy the text from B3 over to E5. So what I'm going to tell Visual Basic is that in cell E5, which in raw numbers is 3 rows down, 5 columns across, is that it should be equal to what I have set A as. And if I click the execute button, I should get one big
Margarete.
And that is task 2 complete. Okay, doing well so far. Final task time now, which is task number 3. Let's see what the objective is. Write some VBA code to take the contents of cells B3 and D3 to write them together in cell G3 with them being split by a comma. Well, I know the term for this is to concatenate, where you merge two things together. I did some Googling for how to concatenate cells in VBA and got a few answers. After consulting with Matt, it seems that the best way to approach this is by using similar tactics from the previous step. So as step 1 for this task, what I'm going to do is something similar to what I did at the beginning of task 2, where I'm going to set variables for the contents of both cells B3 and D3. I'm going to just give them a letter title again. So I'm going to call one A and I'm going to call the other one B and copy the code I used in the previous task. But this time, instead of setting the code to call out the value in the cell, I'm going to give the variable text. A will be set to the iconic line. Whoa, that's a bingo.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Is that the way you say it? That's a bingo.
And B will be set to the person who said it, being Hans Lander. Then finally, the way to concatenate them is by using the ampersand character. So my line of code will be cells 3, 7 to set G3 as the cell I want to write in, then for it to equal A ampersand B. Whoopsies, I just noticed that my two phrases aren't split with a comma, and that definitely was a criteria of my objective for this task. So to do this, I want to write the same line of code at the very end, but also concatenate a comma between the two. So I'm going to put between my ampersands a comma in quotations. And there we go, success.
Bingo! How fun!
Now, to be honest, that wasn't too bad overall. I was pretty comfy in the space of coding there, and it wasn't too hard to figure out. Having Google and Matt to consult definitely helped as well. If you are someone who decided to do it solo and you have very minimal experience in VBA coding as well, let me know how you did down in the comments section below. I'd be interested to see what you found challenging or what you did differently potentially. Post your code. I'd be pretty interested to see it. With that being said, if you want to follow along with future assignments as well, you might see some value out of doing this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I will be making more videos and update videos as 2023 rolls on. And that is pretty much everything in a nutshell. I guess the final thing would be, if you have any suggestions for challenges that Matt should set for me, please drop me a comment below and I will pass that information back on to him as well. Don't make them too hard, please, unless you're aware of some fun ones that are definitely well worth learning. And that is pretty much everything I had for you today. If you did find the video insightful and helpful, fantastic. That's great. That's what I'm aiming to get out of these videos. Other than that, if you didn't, fair enough. I don't really mind either way. For me, it was a lot of fun to do. With that being said, I'm done. So have a good day, have a good week. And as always, I hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.